Alright, so hello and welcome to a loadout guide for Ready or Not. I last made one of these over a year ago, and I thought it would be a good idea to remake it because it wasn't very good. And a lot has changed. Some things have changed, some haven't. So let's get to it. First of all, I would like to show you how you can change your own character's appearance, okay? You come over to the mirror from the starting area where you spawn. And you click on the mirror. You can change your appearance. If you have the FBI HRT, you have to pick Alpha or Bravo if you want that appearance. If you pick anyone else, you don't have the option to, when you go to uniforms, to pick HRT. So there's that, and you can pick between OD green and black, but it's up to you on what you want to do there. Okay, but that's how you select your appearance. And to answer another question, no, you cannot change the appearance of your AI teammates at all. Unless you have a mod, you can't do it. They're stuck the way they are. Okay, so there's that. Now, this thing over here is going to be a weapons bench to modify. Your loadout is the exact same thing as the gear locker, so there's that. Alright, with that out of the way, let's get to the gear. So, we're going to start our top down, and we're going to work our way down. So your primary weapon, okay? If you want to be meta, probably the best rifle is a 7.62 AP, okay? Just standard. However, if I don't really care, and nobody really cares about the meta, honestly, just run an assault rifle. Run anything here. It's whatever, okay? We'll get to it specifically what ammo you're going to be using for these rifles, but usually just pick an assault rifle of any kind, whatever you want to run, whatever feels fun, and all that such. SMGs, okay. You pick SMGs because you want to do a fun run, okay? No, they are not very good. They have never been very good, and now that armor kind of semi-works, and the fact that enemy AI actually wear body armor, they are even less effective than they once were, okay? I'll link a video in the description. There's a guy, he basically does the entire loadout for enemy armor, and it's like 9 to 10 shots with some of these subguns, okay? So, yeah, don't run a subgun unless you want to go fully automatic and you know, do all that fun stuff. But that's up to you, honestly. Shotguns are actually pretty fun. I like the Entryman just because I find it fun to use. No, they are not going to be very effective on long-range maps or even big maps, okay? Especially the farm. You're going to be shooting quite a long distance, and shooting that far is just not going to be fun with a shotgun. Whether you do it with slugs or you do it with buckshot, it's just not going to be fun either way with them. But they are fun to use, so there's that, okay? Now, the M36 Flash. All right. This is a very specific niche scenario case, okay? On what you want to do with this weapon, because this is your primary weapon, okay? You can run buckshot with it, which is, you know, funny. But yeah, it's not an amazing weapon to use. However, if you wanted to run it with a team or just run in there with this thing, you know, I can see it could be fun, but I mean, other than that, I don't see it, you know, being used. If they update it to where it can actually, you know, throw flashbangs at a consistent rate or another type of launcher, and you're running a 10-man team with mods, because let's be honest, a lot of people do that, then it could be useful. But right now, it's just kind of a meme. Less than lethal. All right, so here's the fun fact. There's really no point in running less than lethal. Even a year after I made the original video on this, there's still no point in running less than lethal, okay? I mean, there's some objectives where you have to quote unquote take people alive, okay, but you can still do that with, you know, just rifles and then flashbangs, okay. This will get you killed. Running a whole team with us not with non-lethals will get you killed. You could do it in SWAT 4, okay, and there was an incentive to do so, but the whole point of this game is the gunplay because it feels a lot better than SWAT 4. And you kind of give up all of that up for these, and they're not very effective. Like, you can hit somebody repeatedly with, like, unload on people with this, and they still won't give up. And then they won't give up, and then they'll be like, aha, stab, and you're dead. So, less than lethal is still not good. It's being worked on apparently, but it's still not good. So, just choose an assault rifle or a shotgun, and then lastly would probably be a subgun. but again, run what you want there. Lastly, on the primary arms thing, if you double click on the primary arm that you have, or you can also, let's see, if you also go here, you can also, on this right side where my face is underneath me, you can press modify weapon. Okay, now let's go over some of these attachments. Okay, your optic, you can choose whatever you want. Okay, for these, it does not matter. Run what you want. The only thing I will tell you is this 1 to 12 and 1 to 4, they don't work. Example, they give you a certain amount of optical view, but you can't actually change it. Still, a year later, you still can't change it, but hey, there you go. Other than that, just run what you want. The maps are very small. You're not going to need 12 times because that's just kind of funny. And the 4 times, you could argue if you want it, especially if you want to cant your gun sight. Yeah, but honestly, a hollow is probably best. But again, run what you want, okay? Suppressors do nothing because the the AI doesn't care about sound and does whatever it wants, okay? Even still a year later, still it's the same way, okay? You can run them, and they do give you benefits, various benefits. So, increased accuracy, suppress, high special flash, vertical recoil. It's, again, the reason why even the U.S. Army is fully adopting suppressors for basically every infantryman. Okay, suppressors are very good, but you can also run brakes, but it's whatever. Just remember that the sound dampening of the suppressor doesn't actually work at all, even a little bit. So, there you go. I run a suppressor because, I think that makes the gun look cool. So, there you go. And that's half the battle. What grip do you want? Honestly, it's up to you. Probably combat grip is the best, but it really is not going to matter that much on what you want there. So pick which one you want and you like the aesthetic on your gun, okay? Now, you have flashlight and laser pointers and IR pointers, okay? So the main difference is this is always on, okay? It's not like the AI can physically see your lights, so meh. Laser pointers are always on, and then IR is only visible if you put your nods down. Okay, that's the thing with the IR there. So you can run whichever ones you want. If you want to have a 10-man coordinated team with a whole bunch of lasers, you go right ahead and you can talk with lasers and do all that fun stuff. Okay, otherwise run IR on your stuff. Okay, and we'll get back to why you run IR because you should probably just be wearing night vision most of the time on your loadouts. All right. Next, your sidearms, all right? So, you have one less than lethal option, and you have everything else. So, everything else is better than the non-lethal, okay? You can run any of these pistols, and I would recommend that you run a pistol. Mostly because you can swap to it and get yourself out of an emergency situation, okay? If you want the best pistol, it's going to be the 5.7 with AP rounds, just for the sheer fact that you can actually penetrate armor a little bit better than 9mm. And that's all that matters. It's not like a JPH is gonna do more damage. It doesn't. It's just the way it is. So yeah, run whatever handgun you want. I like the 5.7. I also like the 45 because I think it looks cool. Again, that's half the battle. The less than lethal. The taser is shit. It is still shit a year later. Why? Because, well, on your sidearm ammo, as you can see, if you switch to your 5.7 right here, okay, I have 3 magazines of 17 rounds, okay? If you run the taser, you still only have 3 taser cartridges, and 1 cartridge means 1 shot, so that's 3 shots. And they're not amazingly effective, even still, okay? So, yeah, don't run a taser, because it's trash, unless you want to do a non-lethal run. Then more power to you. But again, if you're doing a no-lethal run, take one of these. It's far more effective, and you will have more more ammo to do so, okay? Now, with all that pistols covered, we're going to cover long tactical, all right? So, a lot of these have gotten better and more use with updates, okay? So, if you're running just a 5-man team like normal, whatever, they have a lot of benefits. However, if you're only running a 5-man team, the launchers are not as effective. However, if you're running with a mod that lets you have 10 plus people, then these become more effective, okay? And we'll go through why in a minute. So, first of all, mirror gun. Very effective because you need to check under the doors to see if there's hostiles. And if you're going slow, you take one. One of these in your team is very good. If you're playing single player, you always have this as your main tactical, no matter what. Single player, you always take this. Co-op and, big man teams, 2 people can run this and you'll be fine, okay? Breaching shotgun. I like this because I run it because you have, in the last update, and just what I tested today, 24 shots. You have 24 breaches with this shotgun, and they work from a very good distance away from the door, so you don't actually have to expose yourself to being blown up by a grenade under the door, and even shot through the door because you can shoot it quite a far ways away, breach the door, and see what's in there, okay? So that's, breaching shotgun should probably be run by most people, okay? If you want to run a shield, okay? If you want to do a shield with a 5-man squad or a 10-man squad, more power to you. In a 10-man squad, if you have 2 guys with shields, okay, you have 8 other people with assault rifles, you'll be fine, okay? The battering ram. The battering ram is still not very good. It's a little better than it was a year ago, but still not good, okay? The main problem is you have to still get close to the door. And there's really no incentive to do so. I mean, being that close to the door in real life, okay, we're talking real life versus AI. Real life, if you're that close to the door, that means you can throw the flashbang in there and immediately get on the suspect, okay? In Ready or Not, where you're dealing with AI, that's not a consideration, okay? Because if you have to also, there's not explosives under every other door for SWAT guys, because if that was the case, they probably wouldn't breach, or they would go about it a whole different way. But in Ready or Not, there's a good chance that a lot of the doors are explosive, unless you check it with a mirror gun. And then you have to get close to the door and all of that other fun stuff, okay? And AI can also wander around the place. So getting close to the door with the breach battering ram is just, it's not the most effective option. However, it also doesn't have an ammo count. But, as I've already told you, the breaching shotgun has 24 rounds, and if you have even 2 people on a team with this, you have more than enough to clear every single door on an entire map, okay? And if you have more people, I mean, more power to you. Again, battering ram is just, I wouldn't run it. Breaching shotgun is way better for a variety of cases. Especially because you can just be far away from the door, and in case the AI decides I'm not actually stunned from the flashbang or stinger you throw in there, well, you're not going to immediately die, because you'll be able to switch back to your weapon and they'll come out of the door to try and kill you, because, suspects work like that. Now, these 320 launchers, alright, they're good. There's no doubt they're good. They have a little quirk with them, though. They only have 4 shots, okay? They only have 4 rounds. But they do take only your long tech, which means that if you don't have any deployables or tacticals, or you don't want to run any grenades, and you just want to take a long tactical, you still have 4 uses of a flashbang, a stinger, or gas, which means you can run more primary ammo or more deployables, okay? And that's always nice. There's nothing wrong with that. On 5-man teams, it could be a bit of a problem, mostly because if you have a shield guy, you're already going to have a mirror guy, you're already going to have a breacher, you're going to have a shield guy, okay? At that point, you could seemingly take a 320, but if someone goes down, you need an extra mirror gun, so that's your 4th one. And if the breach guy goes down, you kind of want a backup shotgun, so there's that. And you also kind of want a backup shield, so there's that. So again, they're effective, no doubt, but 5-man teams, it's a little iffy. 10-man teams is a no-brainer because you have more guys to cover, more guys with grenades, more everything, okay? And honestly, these maps are really big, and you will be running 10 or more SWAT guys if you're doing it IRL, but let's not get there in the weeds about that. The last 2 things about these Flash and the Stinger is that they do not act like the actual grenades like the Flash and Stinger, okay? The Flash and Stinger grenades, you pull the pin, you throw it against a wall, it'll bounce off the wall and detonate, a second or 2 later, okay? That is not so with the flashbang and stinger. As soon as these hit something, they go off. The flashbang immediately will go off if it hits a wall. The stinger will immediately go off if it hits a wall. The gas will do the exact same thing. So you have to basically aim dead center in a room to use these very effectively. Which means someone needs to blow the gun. Again, this is why the breaching shotgun is very good. And someone needs to blow the hinge off the door so the door opens, and then you hit the center of the room with a flashbang, and then you go in, okay? That's what these are more useful for. If you come to a hallway where you can't work. It's not going to be effective because you're just going to have to hit a wall. Then you would want a flashbang or a stinger grenade to pull the pin, bounce it off the wall, get it deeper into the room, and then go. Okay, so just know these are effective, but they instantly go off. Okay, so that's the 320 launchers. All right. So, with long tactical out of the way, let's talk about armor. There is so much to talk about here, but I'm going to cover broad strokes, and there's a lot of testing, and there's a lot of random crap that can happen with armor, okay? So, generally speaking, you never run the anti-stab vest because it's just a meme. At the minimum, you are going to want to run light armor just so you can probably get shot once. Anti-stab vest if you're running a 10-man team and you're in the back and you have nothing but grenades, okay, that can work, okay, with an anti-stab vest. And this armor thing, that's not a real thing. When you pick the anti-stab vest, again, even a year later, this is still wrong. So I'll show you that. If you back out and you come back in, you will see no armor, even if it is ceramic or whatever, all right? So just know that that's a fun thing that happens when you're changing your armor stuff out. So back out of the menu every time you change your armor, all right? So light armor. Light armor is basically good. You get 2 less slots, so instead of 15 slots, you get 13, okay? And the slots are used for primary, secondary ammo, grenades, and tacticals, okay? More slots, better. However, the heavier your armor, the less slots you can have. So, yeah, there's a little trade-off there, okay? What I will say is that, at minimum, you are going to want to run light armor with ceramic. Ceramic, again, I have a video in the description by a guy that did a lot of this testing and all that stuff, so you can go look at that video for more in depth. Generally, ceramic will take less damage, okay, than steel, but it's still enough to save your life, and it also won't friendly fire and kill your friends. If you run steel, as soon as you get hit, sparks will come out, and they will legitimately hurt other people around you, and they will kill them. Given you've been hit enough, they will actually kill people near you, okay? So, probably running ceramic is the best idea. Also, you have less mobility penalty for running ceramic than steel, okay? Even just ceramic light armor is actually pretty fast to get around. If you put steel in, it's going to get a lot worse, all right? With light armor, run front and back. I mean, you could only run front. There's a lot of variation here, but again, it's kind of meh with the coverage and how things work, because AI can come around and do weird things, especially when they get close. They can get around you and, like, jank, shoot you in the back, and if you don't have armor plate on, they'll kill you, or they'll stab. There's a lot of variation here, okay? That's what I'm trying to get at. The best, in my opinion, is to run heavy armor with ceramic, okay? This gives you the best coverage. If you back out of the menu again, come back in, you will see you have fronts and back and sides, okay? Now, the side protection is very good, mostly because, again, if people come around you at very close range, they'll probably shoot you in the side, or they'll hit you in the arm or the leg or something. They'll really instantly kill you if they hit you in the head. But this gives you a little bit more survivability, okay? And the reason I say run ceramic instead of steel is the following, all right? Look at how fast I'm about to move forward. So, moving forward now, right? Now we're going to see it like, oh no, I need to get out of the hallway. That's pretty fast, okay? That's acceptable speed penalty for wearing such heavy armor. If you then take steel, we're going to see a big difference, all right? So you can already see there's a little bit of a difference, all right? But let's say we're in the middle of a hallway, or someone comes out over there by those 2 people, and we need to get out of the way, all right? I'm getting out of the way. Yeah, that will get you killed with these big, heavy plates. That does not mean they don't have a place, okay? As I've mentioned, steel will do damage to other people around you if you get hit, but they also can take more damage before breaking. An ideal setup, if you really want to be the most heavily armored person possible, you take steel plates, you run a shield, and then you're going to run a ballistic face mask. or we'll talk about other things you can do on the face mask because it's kind of a little weird. But yeah, that's the only case I would run steel is if you're wearing a shield and you are methodically going very slow with the team, okay? Otherwise, ceramic heavy armor is just the best combined, at least right now in the game, because of the mobility penalty. It's just the best overall, in my opinion, okay? Just take that with a grain of salt. So, again, run heavy armor, front, back, sides, all right? With ceramics. Next, we'll talk about your munitions here, okay? Ideally, what you are going to run is what suits you and your team. 5-man and 10-man teams, all right? If you run 10-man teams, you can take more ammo. If you run 5-man teams, you're going to need more grenades and tacticals. It's just the simple fact of the nature of how big the size of the teams are is going to make that dependent, all right? So, I would personally, this is how you edit the slots down here, is you have to actually click whatever this is and then edit slots, all right? And then you can edit how much of each one of these you want to run. I would drop your sidearm, honestly, and then just take more primary magazines. And if you want to do something like this where you have 5-3-3, that's probably way more than enough for most missions, all right? Now, as you can see here, you'll basically get a free mag for your sidearm, and even though you don't have one, which is the whole point of this, which is just kind of funny how that works. But hey, one magazine of your sidearm allows you to do, basically, if your gun runs dry, you have one emergency reload where you can swap to your sidearm to do that. Now, that's up to you. You can also run 2 mags on your sidearm, but again, that's going to basically be completely dependent on your setup and what you want to do there, okay? And it's also kind of a little bugged if you go below 1, so do what feels best for you there, all right? Past that point, grenades and tacticals. Let's talk about this in primary. So, your primary. Again, watching that other video I have linked, you will see that there's almost, if you're running into a situation in which you are running against armored opponents, which is, quite frankly, a lot of these maps, you're going to want to run AP ammo, bar none. It's not like JHP actually does more damage. It might do slightly more, barely in the game files, but not really, all right? Instead of shooting someone 6 times, you only have to shoot them like 2 to 3. Which is, you know, AP's job. And there's a lot of armored suspects. Even though if they don't look armored, they're wearing a tactical vest. It actually counts as Kevlar. So, you know, that's amazing. So I would run AP. I would also run AP on your handgun. Again, if you know for a fact no one on the map has AP, has any protection ballistically, JHP could be an option. But again, you're kind of just running the gauntlet there because a lot of the maps have guys running armor, even if it's a little, okay? Next, grenades, all right? All these are effective. They're just different situations. Flashbang will stun people. Stingers will do basically the same thing. And CS gas will incapacitate them. CS gas lasts longer, but that requires you to run masks. For you, if you're running by yourself and single player, your AI teammates don't need gas masks because AI is amazing and they just don't need it. You do, though, because as soon as you step into CS gas and don't have a gas mask on, you can't do anything. So, there's that. What you want to run here is up to you. You can either run bangers, stingers, or CS gas, or a multitude of each, and then you can change them out here to whichever one you want, right? It's up to you on what you want to do there. It seems my thing's a little bugged, but what are you going to do? Menu's kind of a little iffy still. Last thing are these deployables. All right, so let's talk about this. First, the lockpick gun is worthless. As I have already mentioned, the breaching shotgun has way more value than a battering ram. Now, a lockpick gun lets you unlock things faster by like half speed, so 2.5 seconds instead of 5, all right? Now let's go over this. If you already want to make a silent entry, you can still lockpick any door without this device. It just takes longer. And if you're doing a stealth thing, you might as well just take the extra, 2 2.5 seconds to do so and take something else. Okay? Lockpick gun, not amazing. Pepper spray, on the other hand, is very good, mostly because it almost has nearly unlimited ammo, and it is quite funny to use, especially on your other players, because that's a thing. Pepper spray is way more effective than your shitty taser, okay? Even a year later, it is still more effective, all right? You can even just run one of these pepper spray and then take, something else if you really wanted to. And so you just have a less than lethal option for your 5-man teams or your 10-man teams. For your 10-man teams, I mean, somebody could literally just run nothing but pepper spray, and that would be kind of funny. Lastly is door wedge here, okay, before we go get to C2 explosive. Door wedges are very handy. They are very useful because basically what it allows you to do is completely block off entrances for enemy suspects to run through and enemy civilians to run through. So, that's very good on a lot of levels because, again, with a 5-man team, these levels are way too big for a 5-man team to realistically clear. They are massive. A 10-man team, okay, can lock down certain corridors and wait for the rest of the team to clear out something, then loop around, come back, and then they'll push that way, okay? But what a door wedge allows you to do, again, this is a little gamey. There's, again, ready or not game versus real life. The door wedges completely block suspects from bypassing you. So if you want to put this, for example, when you go to the docks, as soon as you enter, on your left side, there will be an entire passageway, okay? You can block that door, and they can't come around you at all. So you have the whole right side you can clear of the map, okay? Then you can loop around, and you can actually take the door wedges back, I think. So that's a thing. So they're very useful on those maps, especially if you're running smaller teams. The C2 explosive makes bang sound and kind of disorients the opponents. I wouldn't necessarily rely on this 100% of the time. Also, could potentially kill someone on the other side of the door. So, that's a thing if they're too close, but usually for stunning. And it is very fun to clank the cracker, make it go boom, immediately go in and take care of the problem, alright? So that's what C2s are used for. They're basically a flashbang on steroids. Again, you kind of want to do, if you want to do the C2, you run the C2, you still blow the door, and then you will throw a flashbang or a stinger in just to be sure that those guys are actually stunned. Don't always rely on the C2 explosive, alright? The last thing we'll talk about here before we wrap this up, your face wear, alright? So you have the option of running a lot of these. I'll just be very frank with you. Night vision is a default for basically every single situation. There are a significant amount of night maps in Ready or Not. And there's a significantly more low light situations in which you're going to be using nods. Again, if you have nods and you have your light or IR laser on your primary weapon, this means that you can actually see where your friends are pointing their weapons, which can be very helpful in a variety of circumstances. Again, it's not like enemy AI has the ability to see your IR. That's not something they have like a real person would. If a real person had night vision goggles, they would see your IR laser up in the air and know that you're coming. AI can't do that, so just know that you can run lasers willy-nilly and it'll be fine, because it's a game. Now, that's night vision. So, default, run nods. Alright, C-burn. You run the riot mask if you want to literally throw gas grenades and do every problem, okay? If you do that, that's fine. You may run out of grenades on a 5-man team. On a 10-man team, you won't run out of grenades, and you will CS gas everyone on the map, and that can be a fun run to do, okay? These anti-flash goggles. No. They barely work. I mean, you already are going to be behind the door, usually, if you're smart, by the time the flashbang goes off, okay? And if you look away just a little bit, you won't be affected by the flashbang. This may change in later updates, but right now, a year later, from when I made my last video on this, it's still that way. So, there's really no point in running these unless you don't know what you're doing, okay? With flashbangs. Ballistic face mask. Ballistic face mask kind of semi gives you maybe impenetrable armor on your face, depending on the updated version of the game. Currently, right now, I don't know because it keeps changing. Theoretically, it should stop handgun rounds, but in Ready or Not, it can actually stop rifle rounds because it's funny like that. Just like the Seaburn mask could originally. I don't know about the FBI HRT one, but the actual ones for SWAT guys that aren't HRT could, which was just hilarious. But just take that with a bit of salt. Also, running a ballistic face mask will actually lower your field of view, and give you some protection to your face. I mean, I don't know if I would run it. I would run it if I was a shield guy and taking steel armor. I mean, at that point, you might as well just go full on that. Otherwise, night vision. Night vision is default, okay? There's actually a mod, I think on the Nexus, that lets you run nods and then something else, okay? Like nods and Seaburn, and nods and anti-flash, and nods and ballistic face mask, okay? Because that's just how prevalent night and darkness are on all these maps. Okay, there's a whole mod that lets you just run NVGs and something else because it's kind of a problem. All right, so that's what I would do on Headwear. All right, so hopefully that guys will help you in some way. If you can leave a like, that'd be great. I won't ask you to subscribe because this is a channel I will post on irregularly. So there's that. All right. Next, I'll talk about AI setup for your Ready or Not, which I'll post up there if you want to check that one out. Otherwise, you people have a nice day, and I'll see you next time.